generation. All
of New York and continues to draw locals in for an authentic experience.
From the Zoy, the Chacol, so from Hanoi, right? To bring the Mamtong from Thanh Hoa to represent Bún Đảo in its highest level.
Shrimp paste is a condiment even some Vietnamese struggle with, however, has now become a craze in New York, one of the world's most demanding culinary markets. These prove the captivating allure of Vietnamese food. Although to reach this point, Vietnamese cuisine in New York has undergone over 60 years of evolution. And
the earliest instance that I saw recorded a Vietnamese restaurant here in New York City dates back to 1961, and that was when Craig Claiborne, the very esteemed restaurant reviewer for the New York Times, wrote a review about a Vietnam restaurant. Some of the dishes that he described in his review seemed very familiar. You know, there were spring rolls and run-of-the-mill, like it wasn't really stand out. In the 70s and like 80s, you had a lot of Vietnamese Chinese immigrants who opened non-Vietnamese people don't quite realize that they do sort of have like an undertone or influence of a lot of Chinese cooking techniques.
Vietnamese little lacking global culinary center this is. Vietnamese restaurants don't even use the right herbs. They don't offer like the 2 dozen other dishes that eat good ingredients and pay for it.
At his Bring It Closer to New York diners, Matt Leacock has explored innovative, modern approaches that cater to American palates, all while preserving the soul of Vietnamese food. This is a Vietnamese food tasting event hosted by Matt Leacock. It drew on the Americans and other nationalities.
When I was growing up, my parents were constantly and I took it for granted. I never realized how amazing the food memories that my parents. So the next course is for very adventurous eaters. Inside this is a fertilized duck egg. Living with an amazing mom that cooks amazing food, you just assume that all the food out there tastes the way it is. But that was a tragic, I guess, awakening call for me. And I didn't really have any interest of making Vietnamese food until I moved away from home. Was doing science at Columbia. I actually have a doctorate in biochemistry. But during this whole program, you know, I would call my mom every other week and get a new recipe. A recipe that I grew up with, eating, but I never knew how to make it. I would have to experiment with the recipes, and I would throw dinner parties all the time. Those dinners gained traction. Juan, the owner of An Choi, came to one of those dinner parties and offered me to train as a chef here, and now I became the head chef.
2009, An Choi opened in the Lower East Side. Inspiration was street food dining, straight from the alleyways of Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi. 7 years later, we're the downtown neighborhood fixture.
When An Choi opened, they really kind of made, it was cool, a restaurant can be more than just the food, it's the whole experience of it, right? The design, the look, the decor, the vibe, putting that all together. And I think An Choi was sort of one of the first vision of what a Vietnamese restaurant could be.
An Choi helped New Yorkers access Vietnamese food more easily, no longer just places to pop in and out. These restaurants now allow diners to deeply experience the taste and the culture of Vietnam. This has drawn significant attention from American media.
I have lived in New York for 12 years, and the city has given me so much. And to be in a position where I can affect some change in New York is incredible for me. But I can slowly see, we start using.
The success of An Choi also inspired many other Vietnamese chefs to seek opportunities in this glamorous city. A wave of modern Vietnamese restaurants like Mi Ăn Mi, Hanoi Social, New York's dining scene, making Vietnamese dishes more accessible than ever. One especially notable restaurant is Madame Vo.
Madame Vo. So Madame Vo was one of the first Vietnamese restaurants in New York to really elevate the cuisine and give it kind of a global platform. They're using quality ingredients, elevated service, and since it opened in 2017, it's actually become a favorite of both New Yorkers and celebrities and people visiting from Vietnam as well.
Roasting onions, ginger, garlic, building the signature flavor of a bowl of Vietnamese pho with a giant beef rib. This may not be the familiar version of pho for many Vietnamese back home, but it's this unique twist that has made Madame Vo stand out in East Village, New York City.
Our pho is simmered for 24 hours, and then we top it with a giant short rib. All the recipes came from my mother and his mother because we wanted to share the Southern Vietnamese food that we grew up eating.
Thanks to its unique flavors, Madame Vo has attracted food critics and even Hollywood stars. According to the New York Times, the broth at Madame Vo is rich, clear, and flavorful, all made naturally from bone marrow. Its also subtle sweetness is from the rock sugar and aromatics added during prep. The side dish includes a platter full of basil, lime, jalapeno, and bean sprouts, plus bottles of sriracha and hoisin. They all combine, making a deeply enticing, complete experience. Besides Madame Vo, New Yorkers can also enjoy everyday favorites from Hai Luo, like Pho Quán, and Bánh Mì.
The reason I opened this because when I came to New York, and I can't really find any restaurant back then, like cooking like my mom. I started to looking for Vietnamese products. So that's why I said, oh, well, we don't have like a Vietnamese town here in New York.
The Vietnamese community has really expressed itself in New York is through the culinary avenue. From just a handful of notable spots back in the New Yorkers can try Vietnamese food of all different types and regions now in the city like never before.
From being relatively unknown to now experiencing a boom, Vietnamese food has carved out a place in this highly competitive city. Yet the journey doesn't stop at authenticity or character. It continues with elevation. That's the path Michelin-starred chef Matt Le Hac has chosen with his own restaurant, Bolero.
Light and fluffy with like a thin crust but still crusty and crispy is an example of Vietnamese ingenuity. Or like when the Chinese came, colonized us for 1,000 years, felt like they wanted to start Bolero and make it their own. I felt like that represents Vietnamese creativity and the movement forward that's represented in the name Bolero. I felt like that's a great name for what we're doing here at this restaurant.
Bolero is where Matt and his team serve about 30 Vietnamese dishes like Pho Bò Saigon, vegetarian bún bò Huế, chả cá lá vọng, fried crab spring rolls, bánh xèo, crispy sticky rice, and bánh nậm. After 5 years at Ăn Chơi and mastering modern culinary techniques, Bolero has become a must visit. That's why TripAdvisor named Bolero the best restaurant chosen by tourists in 2022. According to the Tamno Food Group and the SIAL America, the U.S. has become a hotspot for Vietnamese cuisine with nearly 8,000 restaurants nationwide, over 100 of which are in New York. The rise of Vietnamese restaurants here reflects the desire of the people to reconnect with traditional roots.
Vietnamese products. So that's why I said, oh, well, we don't have like a Vietnamese town here in New York.
Instead of using wheat, we use rice and tapioca. So there's a lot of examples of Vietnamese creativity and the movement forward that's represented in the name Bolero. I felt like that's a great name for what we're doing here at this restaurant.
The early successes in establishing the Vietnamese culinary brand in New York reflect the talent, creativity, and resilience of Vietnamese people. Those born both in Vietnam and abroad. In the city of dreams, they have found strength in their roots and embraced the mission of bringing
With over 4,000 years of history, Vietnam has a diverse culture and rich identity. Throughout the ups and downs of history, Vietnamese people have worn traditional costumes. Ancient Vietnamese costumes are a treasured heritage of the country and contribute to the unique features of national culture. Many young people are looking for ways to perpetuate traditional Vietnamese costumes to preserve that Vietnamese identity. They are joining forces to revive and celebrate ancient Vietnamese costumes. On the second floor of a quiet alley of Hàng Bún, one of Hanoi's oldest streets, we had the opportunity to meet Nguyễn Đức Huy, a young man passionate about natural dyeing techniques for ancient Vietnamese costumes. Originally a student studying urban planning in Germany, after taking a course on Vietnamese and Eastern culture,
3 cân cho một áo.
The ancient dyeing process requires perseverance and meticulousness. The fabric must be stirred methodically to ensure the dye completely covers it and prevents an uneven finish. To make the color sharp and pop, additives such as aluminium potassium sulfate can be added during the fabric dyeing process. As a result, the color is better preserved on the fabric. Times to get the desired shade. To maintain the color, the fabric must go through many strict stages.
I want to incorporate more artisanship into my products because I like practicing the craft. I also hope customers can access handmade products and see their differences from mass-produced products. When people spend more money to buy these products, they will appreciate them more and use them for longer.
Also, a cultural space in the center of Hanoi has been built to research and trade ancient costumes even hidden. Nguyễn Đức Lộc, founder of the brand, welcomes us into this ancient costume hub. He has operated Even Hien for 7 years, overcoming the challenges brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. The most prominent Vietnamese historical film projects that his company has participated in include Hùng Thiêng Đất Việt, or Epic Vietnam, The Emperor's Gift, and singer Hoa Minh Di's Can't Be Together Forever music video. Could you share with us about your research process? How did you create a standard to recognize ancient costumes?
I was lucky to meet and learn from artisans about the standards of ancient costume designs. I also read documents and books and encountered artifacts and antiques from private collections and museums. For example, the 5-panel AO die has an iconic middle seam. Though the fabric used now is larger, the middle seam can seem obsolete. But if you omit the line, it can no longer be called a 5-panel AO die. The seam might look simple, but it is the garment's soul. Secondly, these seams mean that when using silk for garments, one must be very careful and sophisticated when stitching on the colorful patterns. A sewer must ensure that the patterns fall precisely on the sleeves in the middle of the front panel. That's what creates the delicate beauty of this historical garment.
How can you recreate ancient costumes most accurately?
There are ancient artifacts that can give you the correct ratio. However, if you apply that to the current Vietnamese body shape, it doesn't work. Therefore, we need to jump sizes accordingly. Furthermore, there are some ratios and parameters that we thought were standard, but they simply don't apply to today's body type. So we need to make the right adjustment. That also needs careful research based on artifacts and documents. As such, we were able to outline the standards applied in our products. It is still an ancient costume, but it meets the quality requirements and customer tastes. It's not merely for research and education in museums.
Lok and his colleagues have researched and produced embossed models that fit the contemporary Vietnamese body shape. The majority of ancient costumes that we see now mainly come from the Nguyen dynasty, as historical records from that era remained intact. There are rare documents about previous dynasties, but finding related artifacts is more difficult. Therefore, learning about ancient costumes from ratio and fabric cutting to patterns is increasingly difficult. Not discouraged, he aims to bring ancient costumes into the public's consciousness, laying the groundwork for continuing historical stories in the contemporary era. What do you think about young people incorporating historical clothes into their daily lives?
I remember years ago, many other young people and I used to ask ourselves when Vietnamese historical clothes should be worn by everyone, whether on special occasions or holidays. Flash forward to now, knowing that wearing such garments has become a big trend in music videos, on stage, on TV shows, and in movies, makes me very happy. Culture is soft power. As long as culture remains, so will our nation. All major economies in the world, in addition to having a strong economy, also have influential cultures. Clothes are an important cultural element. They tell people who you are, where you come from, and your culture. More research, revival, and use of ancient Vietnamese costumes in movies, television, and people's lives in the near future will create immense value for Vietnamese people.
So, what is Ibn Hien's future direction?
Vietnam has a huge treasure of ancient costumes. There is much more to be brought to light. That is my mission. I must continue investing in new products to introduce to domestic and international markets. International friends will be able to see our cultural abundance through our beautiful traditional costumes and realize that we are not inferior to any other nation.
With an endless passion for ancient costumes, young Vietnamese people are researching a still relatively unknown corner of Vietnamese history, inspiring many other generations. Behind artifacts such as ancient Vietnamese costumes lies the nation's culture, which continues to develop today. Ancient Vietnamese costumes have been revived thanks to the enthusiasm and passion of the younger generations. I'm proud to know that young people are interested in rediscovering important pieces of Vietnamese culture in a land with thousands of years of history. Phu Thot Province, home to the first industrial park in northern Vietnam. After the merger, Phu Thot Province became one of the 10 fastest growing provinces in the country.
The more populations of the new combined to one province, Phu So, would be more and more populations and younger the workforce.
Phu Thot provides strong infrastructure and logistics system, very supportive. So we feel like very warm welcome here.
Once a heavy industrial region, Pudao has transformed into a rising high-tech hub.
From the echoes of wartime productions, we are here in Pudao province. This land used to be the North Industrial Site, now stands at a historical moment. The new merger brings new opportunities, but at the same time raises a big question. How can the spirit of the past become the new driving force for a high technology center?
Since investing in the Thanglang Vĩnh Phúc Industrial Park in 2019, a Wi-Fi equipment manufacturer has become one of the park's largest investors. Following the province expansion, the company is now building its third factory and investing in automating production processes.
Can you introduce a little bit about the automatic robot right here for us?
This is we call automatic machines. My software engineer, testing engineer can combine with the robot skill with my internal testing program. This machine can set up the person.
So what is the capacity right now of the factory?
Most of them, I mean the 4,900 people, is a Vietnamese locally. So the rest of the people came from even China. Their people is technical people, manager level.
And do you have any plans to expand or equip more high technology in the future?
In our factory, we will continue to invest about the automation for testing, package, assembly, everything. Not only for the automatics and others for AI skill. This is make the units of good quality and also can prevention some mistakes. In Vietnam, we have the two factory. If the customer demanding still stronger in the futures, we plan to set up another more factory.
Now let's take a closer look into the local people life here in the industrial zone. Chào anh ạ. Không biết là anh đã làm ở đây bao lâu rồi và vị trí công việc của anh là gì ạ?
Mình làm ở đây 4 năm rồi, công việc của mình hiện tại là công nhân bộ phận SMT. Để làm việc ở vị trí này thì mình đã phải đào tạo trong khoảng một tháng trời. Khá là vất vả một chút, tuy nhiên là cũng rất là may mắn được các anh chị chỉ dạy cho mình nên là mình cũng thấy là cũng khá là nhanh để mình học lại được những cái chương trình để sử dụng máy một cách an toàn và phát hiện những cái lỗi để mình có thể xử lý trong quá trình làm việc của mình.
Ban quản lý các khu công nghiệp tỉnh đang triển khai thực hiện các công tác quy hoạch, thu hút các nhà đầu tư hạ tầng các khu công nghiệp. Trong quy hoạch tỉnh đã được Thủ tướng Chính phủ phê duyệt ứng dụng công nghệ cao, khu công nghiệp sinh thái tuần hoàn, khu công nghiệp hỗ trợ, tập trung phát triển các ngành công nghiệp mũi nhọn.
Even with more than 2 decades of experience in the tile market, this FDI enterprise continuously updates its technology, sustaining annual revenues in the hundreds of billions of Vietnam dong while ensuring a safe workplace for employees.
Bình thường khi mà nhắc đến ngành là sản xuất vật liệu xây dựng thì mình sẽ nghĩ đây là ngành sử dụng nhiều đến sức lực hơn. Nhưng mà bây giờ thì với sự xuất hiện của máy móc ở đây, không biết bạn có thể làm rõ hơn những cái ứng dụng khoa học công nghệ hiện tại đang được áp dụng tại công ty mình.
Các điểm mới trên chuẩn sản xuất mà có thể giảm được sức lao động của anh em công nhân. Ví dụ như đến là hệ thống camera. Trước đây thì họ phải đi một vòng quanh lò để họ có thể dùng cái súng bắn nhiệt độ để kiểm tra được những nhiệt độ đấy để ghi chép lại. Nhưng mà hiện tại thì đã có hệ thống camera. Ngoài ra thì trên phần dây chuyền men thì có thêm máy checkpoint phát hiện ra những viên gạch sứt, mẻ và bề mặt nứt mà mắt thường có thể nhìn ra được.
There are local authorities and also the communities help us a lot. You provide a friendly environment for us to work. We have lots of development programs as well in Prime and SCG to support the young generations. On behalf of the SCG and Prime, we are proud to be a part of the development of Phú Thọ province, and also we are willing to contribute to the Vietnam journey on green and sustainability growth.
Phú Thọ province was once known for its traditional industries such as tea, paper, and chemicals. These sectors shaped the province economy as it evolved from a wartime rear base into an investment hub.
More than 60 years after its inauguration, Vietchi Paper, one of the first factory built during wartime, still operates. And today, each product produced, like the one that I'm holding right now, marks a new chapter for the nation's packaging leader.
Tôi vào nhà máy là cuối năm 1999, đến nay là được 25 năm. Khi vào đây là dây chuyền sản xuất rất là thô sơ và hoạt động là gần như là bằng sức người. Qua 25 năm tôi làm việc ở đây thì công ty đã có rất nhiều những cái phát triển và có những cái đầu tư đúng mức để nâng cấp dần dần lên những cái máy xeo trở thành hiện đại và nâng được cả sản lượng và chất lượng. Trước đây nếu mà khi từ ban đầu tôi vào làm, một dây chuyền sản xuất tương ứng với khoảng 12 đến 15 người trên một dây chuyền sản xuất rất là thô sơ và sản lượng rất thấp. Bây giờ chúng tôi là có thể là 11 người trên một máy xeo và sản lượng của nó đã nâng lên thì là khoảng là 135 tấn đến 150 tấn trên một ca.
Sau khi đất nước thống nhất, tỉnh Phú Thọ đã thực hiện nhiều chủ trương nhằm bảo tồn và phát huy các ngành công nghiệp truyền thống, đồng thời mở rộng và thu hút đầu tư vào những lĩnh vực công nghiệp hiện đại như hiện đại hóa các nhà máy cũ, phát triển các ngành công nghiệp tập trung, chuyển đổi theo hướng công nghiệp hóa, hiện đại hóa gắn với phát triển bền vững và đặc biệt là tăng cường công tác đào tạo nguồn nhân lực.
Tea, which had taken root during wartime, became a key industrial crop, meeting domestic demand and becoming a major export for Phú Thọ. With this as its strength, the Youth Economic Zone in Minh Dai Commune, established in the 1970s, still plays an important role in the local economy.
And follow the highway 32 about 60 kilometers from the old Vietchi Industrial Zone. This is where the youth from lowland volunteered to the mountain to build the new economic zone. They work, they sacrifice to protect the backline, and today the site is recognized as the National Historic Relic.
Năm 72, đoàn thanh niên của các tỉnh đến đây để thành lập. Ngày 20 tháng 9 năm 1972, Đặc Mỹ đã nhiều tốp máy bay đến đây và thả bom xuống đây. Thì đây cũng là một cái nhân chứng mà những cái mảnh bom đã sát thương nhiều các cái anh em trong đồng đội.
Ngày đó là chúng tôi còn đa phần là tuổi 18, 19 lên đây xây dựng khu kinh tế thiên nhiên. Đợt mà bắn phá 20 tháng 9 năm 1972 ấy, là đúng vừa lao động xuất nhưng từ từng tốp máy bay nó đi ban ngày đi nên là ầm ầm trên đầu.
Nói thật là chúng tôi là ăn cơm trộn với nước mưa, bởi vì đang làm thì mưa người ta gánh cơm vào thì mình cứ phải ăn là phải trộn với cơm mà ăn, mà làm thông từ 6 giờ tối cho đến 6 giờ sáng.
Sau khi khu kinh tế vào đây là sản xuất trồng chuối và trồng dứa. Thế sau đó thì bác Tạ là giám đốc thì mới nghiên cứu và đề nghị với bộ quyết định là chuyển sang trồng chè và đưa cái giống chè đầu tiên của bộ về khu kinh tế trồng. Lúc bây giờ là trồng liên tục mấy năm thì được gần 400 hectare. Thế và khi cái chè bắt đầu và đưa vào nhà máy sản xuất thì ở bộ lại nghiên cứu là sản xuất một cái loại chè đen. Nó không đầu tiên ở Việt Nam đó là cái chè CTC.
Chè đen đây làm sản xuất chủ yếu ở đây là xuất sang Liên Xô với Ba Lan. Đến năm 2000 ấy, thì là bắt đầu vào liên doanh. Thì lúc đầu ấy thì xuất cho Iraq, mỗi một năm cũng 3-4 nghìn tấn. Nhưng còn bây giờ thì cái công ty chè Phú Đa này họ xuất đi đủ các nơi. Vườn chè ngoài kia lớn lên bao nhiêu thì trong này nhà máy lớn lên, mà lớn lên cả người và cái sức sản xuất của nhà máy nữa.
Today's Phú Thọ, with its high-tech industrial landscape, was built on the foundation laid by earlier generations at the Việt Trì Industrial Park, the first in northern Vietnam. President Ho Chi Minh visited the province many times, offering encouragement and motivation.
Vậy thì không biết là trong thời kỳ kháng chiến thì tại sao miền Bắc lại được chọn là nơi đầu tiên tại Việt Trì để xây dựng một khu công nghiệp ạ?
Thứ nhất, thành phố Việt Trì là trung tâm của tỉnh Phú Thọ, cũng là trung tâm của khu vực miền Bắc. Đây cũng chính là trung tâm của kinh đô Văn Lang xưa, và nơi đây còn là nơi hợp lưu của 3 dòng sông lớn là sông Hồng, sông Lô và sông Đà. Và đặc biệt, tỉnh Phú Thọ còn là cửa ngõ của thủ đô Hà Nội. Tỉnh Phú Thọ có nguồn tài nguyên thiên nhiên vô cùng phong phú và đa dạng. Nó là điều kiện quan trọng để phát triển cho các khu công nghiệp. Con người Phú Thọ thì rất là cần cù, chịu khó và đoàn kết. Sự kết hợp về kinh tế, về chính trị, về điều kiện tự nhiên thì Trung ương đã lựa chọn Phú Thọ làm nơi để xây dựng khu công nghiệp đầu tiên ở miền Bắc nước ta.
Vâng ạ. Vậy trong thời kỳ kháng chiến chống đế quốc Mỹ xâm lược thì không biết là có những lần nào mà Bác Hồ đã về thăm tỉnh Phú Thọ và có những câu chuyện hay kỷ niệm đặc biệt nào không ạ?
Trong giai đoạn kháng chiến đấu tranh chống đế quốc Mỹ xâm lược thì rất vinh dự cho Đảng bộ và nhân dân các dân tộc tỉnh Phú Thọ được đón Bác 6 lần về thăm và làm việc. Những lần Bác về thăm là khi mà tỉnh Phú Thọ có những sự kiện chính trị quan trọng, hay là khi tỉnh Phú Thọ có những thành tích quan trọng về phát triển kinh tế, đặc biệt là lĩnh vực sản xuất nông nghiệp. Như năm 1959, Bác về thăm công trường xây dựng khu công nghiệp Việt Trì. Đây là khu công nghiệp đầu tiên ở miền Bắc nước ta. Bác nói rằng xưa kia các vua hùng đã lựa chọn nơi đây là đất đóng đô. Nay ta xây dựng trên đất tổ một khu công nghiệp to lớn là cơ sở cho chủ nghĩa xã hội. Bác mong các cô các chú sẽ ra sức phấn đấu thi đua, sớm đưa các nhà máy trở vào sản xuất để từ đó ta có được những sản phẩm tự lực cánh sinh mà xưa nay ta phải mua của nước ngoài.
In Phú Thọ province, industry is not just about steel and concrete. Amid change, one thing remains: the industrial spirit. Quiet, persistent. Today, that spirit is open and ready to welcome domestic and foreign investors to carry forward the story of Phú Thọ industry to new heights.
In today's fast-paced world, traditional folk culture is slowly fading from view. This is especially true in the creation of handicraft products, where international styles often take precedence. Driven by the desire to preserve Vietnam's cultural essence and national spirit, the artists of Lam Phong Studio continue to craft works rooted in folk traditions while also embracing the modern era. Lam Phong Studio consistently aims to produce works that embody folk meaning while capturing the breadth and spirit of modernity. The studio seeks to spread, preserve, and develop these values using traditional artistic materials passed down from the ancestors. With the aspiration to introduce fresh perspectives and new expressions in handicrafts, in recent years, artist Lê Huy, along with a group of young artists, have released works rich in folk character. The Nhan Ngu project in 2020 and Nhan Ni Yan in 2021 were both inspired by folk motifs and characters. Before the Mid-Autumn Festival, Lam Phong's artists launched the Viet Dong Project, drawing inspiration from Vietnamese folk paintings.
Before I came up with the idea for Viet Dong, I was already deeply fond of traditional folk toys. While observing the foam clay figurine collection for the Mid-Autumn Festival, which included a character holding a rose, I envisioned a scene where a human and an animal share a seamless embrace. At that moment, I immediately thought of the Dong Ho folk painting series.
Inspired by the iconic Dong Ho series, each painting symbolizes prosperity, wealth, benevolence, courtesy, and wisdom. These together convey so many heartfelt blessings. These are traditionally displayed during festivals and at Lunar New Year. They invite good fortune and happiness. To complete the Viet Dong figure collection, the team went through several stages. The first was sketching a process reflecting painter Hien An's heartfelt dedication to her own creative brainchild. Designing was not just about shaping future pieces, also about color composition, ensuring that each work preserved folk elements while aligning with contemporary aesthetics. This step is crucial for facilitating the later production stages. While teaching and working with students, I met Hien An, who created the first sketches and designs for Viet Dong. I clearly saw the folk essence in her drawings and realized they could be transformed into tangible products. Lam Phong Studio collaborated with Hien An to develop the Viet Dong collection, a name that now represents Vietnamese children. The next step was sculpting. For small-size creations, artists had to pay even greater attention to form the surface details and to ensure accurate proportions and ease when making the mold. Carving plays a pivotal role in sculpture in general, and especially in the Viet Dong series. The clay models underwent multiple refinements until the artists were satisfied. Every contour was carefully calculated during the shaping process. We began working on Viet Dong at the beginning of 2020. The collection uses two main base materials, ceramic and wood. With ceramic pieces, we cast them from the base model, then paint and apply a protective coating to finish. From mold casting and material selection, all the way to color coordination, these artworks are slowly brought to life. The most important final step is coloring. The smaller the object, the more intricate the coloring becomes due to the fine details. Viet Dong is adorned with 5 primary colors: green, red, white, yellow, and black. These are all in the fundamental color palette of folk paintings, and they all symbolize the 5 elements. The coloring process is divided into multiple stages, manually carried out by the young artists in the team.
It takes around 6 to 7 steps to paint a Viet Dong piece. First, we apply 3 to 4 layers of white on the pre-fired ceramic base, followed by 3 to 4 layers of skin tone, and then 2 layers of red. Once the large areas are finished, we proceed with detailed painting and touch-ups where colors are not yet precise.
Looking at the finished Viet Dong figures, every shape and detail embodies folk traditions while remaining modern and refined. These small figurines inherit the best symbolic values from the Dong Ho paintings, all of which are depicting chubby, kind, or healthy children as icons of growth, intelligence, and achievement, all to show how much young artists really care about cultural values. This is the first time Lam Phong Studio has collaborated with a young artist. The youthful spirit is very evident in this collection. When a younger painter incorporates folk tradition into children's figurines, their creations are utterly charming. The set becomes a delightful gift, toy, or decorative piece, all carrying wishes and blessings. It retains the original essence of Dong Ho paintings. After nearly 2 years of planning and execution, the Viet Dong figurine collection officially launched in August, all with the hope that a modern Mid-Autumn Festival will glow with lights, technology, and elaborate mooncake boxes. And also will include humble, rustic, and heartfelt toys and decorations. It is meant as a meaningful gift for the season of reunion, bringing joy to children and families alike. From simple sketches or even vague ideas, if we approach the process with care and long-term thinking, art and support, and they continue to spread that spirit. From the success of their folk-inspired creations, Lam Phong Studio continues its creative journey. The Viet Dong figurines represent the ongoing fusion of the traditional handicraft materials with modern aesthetics. These handmade artworks that carry the spirit of truly precious gifts to be shared. To be
Vietnam ranks Southeast Asia for data center investment returns.
And later on, you reaffirm support for Ukraine.
And here's the first story of the hour. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính attended a ceremony at the Yên Tử Historical and Scenic Site in Quảng Ninh Province last night, August 17, where it was officially announced that UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site. The UN body has awarded to universal value Nghiêm conflict to emphasize in high regard heritage ideals of Trúc Lâm, founded in Tông, and promoting the Prime Minister to the management sustainable preservation and promotions of the heritage. He also called for decisive action so that culture becomes the nation's soft power and endogenous strength, allowing Vietnamese culture to shine for generations.
And this morning, August the 19th, Politburo and Party Central Committee members attended a ceremony to inaugurate a memorial plaque and open an exhibition at number 48 Hàng Ngang in Hanoi. The historic house was the workplace of the Standing Committee of the Central Committee during the early days of the August Revolution in 1945, and where President Ho Chi Minh drafted the Declaration of Independence, founding the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. It was here that key decisions on domestic and foreign policy, the provisional government, and the Independence Day celebration were made. The site not only bears witness to historic national events, but also stands as a symbol of revolutionary wisdom, strategic vision, patriotism, independence, and the Vietnamese people's aspiration for peace. To mark the 80th anniversary of the August Revolution and National Day, Hanoi has restored and recreated the historic space of house number 48, Hàng Ngang, for locals and visitors to explore. And now we'll come to a special feature on the 80th anniversary of the National Day, presented by Brian Pham.
Well, thank you, Lina Pham. And as we can all see, the special atmosphere around every corner of the country. And the special art event, proud to be Vietnamese, hosted by the Central Committee's Commission for Information and Education, took place tonight, August 18, at Meeting National Stadium Square. And as one of the key national events marking the 80th anniversary of the August Revolution and National Day, it is expected to draw 30,000 spectators. Politburo member and head of the commissions, Nguyễn Trọng Nghĩa, is attending. The event is designed as an artistic epic honoring national roots and looking toward the future. Elaborate performances celebrate Vietnam's proud history of nation building and defense, while expressing deep gratitude to the party, President Ho Chi Minh, and generations who sacrificed for independence and reunification. The night features a blend of traditional and modern music with large-scale live stage performances, delivering a powerful visual and emotional experience. And alongside this major celebration, young peoples are also finding creative ways to express their patriotism through designs that carry the very spirit of Vietnam.
What a fantastic atmosphere. I wish I were there, Brian. But now let's move to Ho Chi Minh City. Our story takes us to Ho Chi Minh City, where students are turning everyday items into symbols of national pride. And that pride took root in the historic autumn of 1945, when President Ho Chi Minh read the Declaration of Independence. And this moment forever lives in the hearts of every Vietnamese.
For today, young generation, pride is expressed through designs, reaching Vietnamese identity, serving as a creative way to show their love for the homeland.
Conical hats, red flags with yellow stars, and the image of President Ho Chi Minh are being brought into everyday products like handbags, water bottles, and wall paintings. These Vietnam-inspired designs are the heartfelt creations of a group of youngsters in celebration of the National Day on September the 2nd.
I feel proud to design Vietnam-inspired products, as they help spread patriotism and national spirit among customers. This year, it feels especially meaningful, with the country celebrating many important milestones.
These products are a reminder that national pride lives within us, ensuring the younger generation will always remember the achievements and sacrifices of our forefathers.
Water bottles, check scarves, and notebooks are no longer just everyday items. With designs inspired by the homeland, they become a heartfelt way for youngsters to express their love for the country.
There are many ways to show national pride. Even if I can't do something big, using Vietnam-inspired items helps me share my patriotism and feel the presence of that love all around us.
From small keepsakes printed with Vietnam's familiar to the excitement of awaiting the national parade, young people are expressing their love for the country in different ways, yet all their hearts beat as one for the homeland.
Hanoi has become the most searched domestic destination for travelers over the National Day holiday. And according to Booking.com, the capital city is drawing crowds with a vibrant lineup of festival and culture events, appealing not only to solo visitors, but also to families and groups. At Nội Bài International Airport, passengers numbers are expected to hit a record high, with nearly 110,000 travelers forecast on the peak day. The rate is around 20% higher than the same period last year. To ensure smooth operation, Level 1 aviation security measures will be in place from August 26 to September 4th. Meanwhile, the city bus services are also bracing for a surge. Passenger traffic is projected to triple during the holiday period. To meet demand, an extra 1,000 buses will be deployed, with schedules tailored to passenger flows. Authorities say close coordination with transport and security forces will be crucial to prevent overloading, inflated ticket prices, and congestions across the city. And this day, every Hanoi street and corner is filled with Vietnamese national flags and flowers, ready for the upcoming historic celebrations. Millions of hearts across the country are turning toward the capital. In Hanoi, people embrace the spirit in their own unique way. And now let's take a look.
Ian has lived in this modest house in Hang Luk Street since childhood. She was just 7 years old on Vietnam's very first National Day. 8 decades have gone by, yet the memories of those celebrations remain as vivid as ever.
In those days, we gathered at school at noon, lined up in order, and then walked to Baoding Square to see President Ho Chi Minh.
Meanwhile, the younger generation immerses themselves in the vibrant city streets. Though generations differ, they all shared one common bond, a profound love for the nation.
Seeing the national flags everywhere makes me feel deeply moved.
On Độc Lập Street, a sea of national flags draws visitors not only for photos, but also for a stronger sense of the word independence itself.
My generation endured many hardships, so we truly understand the value of peace. Today, I feel deeply proud that our country stands more dignified and more beautiful, just as Uncle Ho once wished.
On Hùng Vương Street, old houses has been cleared, opened up a broader, more spacious road that leads straight to Baoding Square. Here, construction for Grand 80th National Day celebrations is being rushed to completion.
I must witness the parade. I will go to the parade routes to experience the extraordinary spirit of the nations firsthand.
80 autumns of history have passed, and countless more lie ahead. They are seasons of freedom, unity, and joy, when millions of hearts beat together as one.
Coming up next, draft resolution on establishing international financial centers under review. And Vietnam ranks second in Southeast Asia for data center investment return.
When it comes to business, it's crucial to choose a smart location with global impact. And Vietnam might just be the location for you. Connect worldwide to advanced logistics networks. Smart Hub for technology and innovation. A dynamic business ecosystem. An environment with a competitive edge. The opportunities abound.
You're watching Newsline. The Ministry of Finance is seeking public feedback on the draft resolution to establish international financial centers in Ho Chi Minh and Da Nang cities, each with distinct roles and development orientations. According to the draft, a local governing body will directly manage all activities within the financial center, develop a membership registration system, business procedures, and remove long-standing bottlenecks for businesses. It proposes that localities allocate to develop housing, transport, and while planning high-quality workforce training program center.
Vietnam is experiencing a 25 seeing a surge in large-scale and hyperscale projects nationwide. According to Cushman & Wakefield's latest Asia-Pacific Data Center Investment Landscape Report, Vietnam now ranks second in the Southeast Asia investment yield on cost to 18.8%, just behind Singapore, 21 to 23%. The country also offers some of the lowest development costs in the region at $7.1 million US. Hyperscale center handling thousands of CPU cores and over 100 megawatts of power, equivalent to 350,000 to 400,000 electric cars power consumptions, are driving growth.
Those are impressive number, Brian. And for the audience out there, here's an update. Outstanding poor in this return shows is digital,
especially in Ho Chi Minh City.
Exactly. And the city is quickly turning projects. And with a new $250 million data center set to break ground, Ho Chi Minh seeing its ambition to become a regional digital hub.
Yes, and Azure Hyperscale, with a total investment of $200 to be built soon, Ho Chi Minh City is becoming an attractive destination for businesses to invest in data center. And with a number of large-scale data centers already built, the city is expected to attract more R&D centers, AI startups, investment technological facility, helping to realize its ambitions to become a regional digital hub.
Large capacity of over 10 megawatts
had to hire foreign businesses. We had to pay in foreign currency, and the data had to be sent abroad. But now everything will be done in Vietnam.
To incentivize private capital to invest in data centers, Ho Chi Minh City is prioritizing budget allocation for faster investment and construction of digital infrastructure.
The city must invest in multi-purpose IT centers so that large enterprises can build data centers on top of these centers. It will develop production and additional services with high added value.
In the next 2 years, global spending on cloud computing will exceed $1 trillion US, opening up many opportunities for data to have ample room for both foreign and large-scale data in time.
Now it can be seen that Vietnam's data center boom is turning heads across Southeast Asia. What fueling the surge? We speak with Mr. Peter Schweimuth of Cushman & Wakefield Asia Pacific. Well, thank you for joining us. Your reports show that Vietnam ranks second in Southeast Asia for data center yield and cost. And so how does this indicate potentials and attractiveness of Vietnam as a destination for data center?
Sure. So if you look at the total capacity in the early stage, I would say about 60 megawatts, close to
60 megawatts is operational in the country. And there is about 105 some land banking that is happening. Vietnam's to about 1 megawatt of operational. In 85,000 people per megawatt, which is literally 1/3 of what Vietnam is. Vietnam is forecasted to grow at 7% until 2030 average annual, which is again a driving factor. In addition, mobile phone consumption right now is close to about 13 gigawatts or gigabytes